The Rocket League community has grown enormously ever since the game was released in 2015. Over the years, many content creators have uploaded many videos on how to climb the ranks. In these videos, they give a lot of tips, tricks, drills, and mechanic tutorials. And to cover all of these in one video is, yeah, pretty much impossible. But today, I am going to show you how to condense this information and reform it into your own personal training routine. And you can do this in a simple 4-step process. This is, by my knowledge, the fastest way to progress in Rocket League, and this can even be applied to other competitive games and other skills in general. So sit back and relax in the seat to be entertaining while talking, grab a notepad and let's learn something. Step 1. Identifying your mistakes. Creating a training routine all starts on YouTube. Wait, what? Yes, on YouTube there are plenty of gameplay videos. Watch some games of pro players and pay close attention to see how the game is actually supposed to be played. After that, you want to go into your replays and pay attention to your mistakes. Oh, man. Are you in a weak position all the time? Do you get scored on a lot? Or you just don't have the mechanical abilities to go for certain shots? Write down a couple of your shortcomings. This will help you plan your practice routine. After you have a small list, it's time for step 2. Research. Now that you have your own list with things to improve on, it's time to do the research. Search for tutorials, training packs, and maybe even tips and tricks to help you train the topics you've listed. If you don't want to scour the internet, I'll post all of these things on this channel, and I'll even upload full training sketches that you can implement if they fit your list. So consider subscribing and turning notifications on if you're interested. Okay, now that you've subscribed, have your drills ready, it's time to get to the fun part. Step 3. Creating your training routine. The fun thing about creating your training routine is that it requires some creativity, but it can sometimes be quite difficult and time consuming. You can't train every single skill and you only have a limited amount of time each day. I recommend making a notepad where you order your exercises as well as the amount of time you want to spend on every single one of them. What I like to do is to start off with some basic car and or ball control exercises that complement the items on my list, because those are the fundamentals to learn other mechanics and they'll warm you up for the next drills. After this, I have a look at my list and add specific drills I've researched to the routine. For example, if I noted that my shooting accuracy is off, I'll implement 1 or 2 training packs or some free play drills. Or if I have trouble going for aerials, I'll add some packs as well or implement some workshop maps. This part of the training is the most important, so I'd suggest you spend at least an hour on these. I like to end my training with something that's mechanically challenging, like flip resets or air dribbles. Although freestyling mechanics aren't necessary to rank up, they push your limits to improve your overall base level of skill. Remember, this is not the focus of your training, so around 30 minutes will do. You really want to focus on the items on your list, not the amount of flip resets you are able to pull off. It's also a good idea to implement some free play into your routine. I like to do this at the end of my training. I chase the ball like a monkey and chain the skills I've been working on as fast and as accurate as possible. Most of the time I spend around 30 minutes up to an hour in free play, or I occasionally plan a big 1 hour plus session of free play and workshop maps. This is the layout of how I like to shape my training routine. Starting off with some basic exercises to warm up, then the main training block where you practice all the essentials on your list. After that you practice a difficult mechanic, and finally you finish off with executing everything you've learned in free play. I know I gave you some time blocks on some of these, but it's all personal preference depending on how much time you have and how much you want to practice. But remember, what you put in is what you get out. There are no shortcuts when it comes to becoming a better Rocket League player. Okay, now that you've created your training routine, there is one important step left in this process, and that is step 4, keeping track. After you've planned out your training routine, it's important to put it into action, but more importantly, execute it on a daily basis to see the most improvement. And even more important is to keep track of your progress. After a few days of consistent practice, you'll start to see progress in your gameplay and mechanics. As you improve, other flaws will become apparent in your game. It's a good thing to plan a session where you review some replays again and go back to step 1, identifying your mistakes, and repeat the whole process. This way, you're constantly working on your biggest weak points and you're taking them to the next level. I recommend rewriting your training routine every week, or if you're really serious about improving in Rocket League, do it daily. Watch your replays and make notes the night before and start practicing in the morning. You can then do your training routine multiple times that day, or make a really long one and spread it throughout the day. So in conclusion, to create your own training routine, start off by watching gameplay to see how the game's supposed to be played. Then, compare that to your own gameplay and identify your mistakes and shortcomings. Once you've done that, you want to search for some drills on how to improve in these things. After that, create a plan you can execute daily, and finally, keep track and update your plan regularly. Ranking up in Rocket League might seem the hardest thing, but it's consistent daily practice that will get you there fast. And it not only depends on if you practice, but it also comes down on the how, what, and why you practice. So stick with the essentials. I like to finish off with a good analogy with calisthenics. Nobody starts off their journey with handstand push-ups. You consistently grind to basics like push-ups and pull-ups, and occasionally you add a freestyling move to your repertoire to strengthen muscles you normally wouldn't use. It's much easier learning how to do a handstand push-up if you've already done 6 months of intense basic strength exercises. Same as it's much easier learning how to flip reset if you have great car control. I hope this video has inspired you becoming a better Rocket League player and go practice. If it did, be sure to like this video as it helps the channel out a lot. Leaving any questions or requests in the comments is much appreciated as well. Don't be afraid to ask anything. And remember, I can't make you a better Rocket League player, only you can by putting in the hours. So get up and go practice. See you in the next video. Cheers.